You have already felt that there is something inside you that the world never understood, but deep down, always made you different? And if I told you that this something is not a defect, is its spiritual seal? Leo is not just a zodiac sign, it is a heavenly brand, a forbidden inheritance, such an intense power that it had to be silenced by eras, hidden from the ordinary eyes. So far, according to Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, Leo carries a spiritual force feared even by invisible entities. We are not just talking about brightness, courage, or ego, but an ancestral fire with divine origin, connected directly to the sun, not the physical star, but the spiritual sun of the universe. And that's exactly why Leo has always been targeted, envied, tested, misunderstood, because those who carry light at this level threatens structures that feed on darkness. Have you ever had the feeling that you carry a greater purpose, but everything around you tried to diminish you? Have you ever felt that you were born to lead, even when life has only shown you falls? So maybe, only maybe, you are about to find out the Zodiac's best kept truth. Today, let's reveal why Leo has been marked with the most feared spiritual energy and what it means to your life, to your destiny, and your awakening. But beware, what you are about to hear, not everyone is ready to accept. If this message has come to you, it is no coincidence. Comment now. I feel this fire inside me. This is not just a comment, it's your seal. Now take a deep breath, because what comes next will explain why your pain has never been in vain. If you got here, it is because something within you recognized this truth. What we are about to reveal is not just astrological knowledge. It is a spiritual memory being reactivated in you. And so, I need you to manifest yourself. Comment now down here. I carry this light. This simple act is not just engagement. It is an energy confirmation, a sign for the universe that you are ready to assume who you really are. What is hidden behind the sign of Leo has not been forgotten by chance. There are forces that have always tried to erase this truth, and the more people connect with this content, the more this truth returns to the surface. That's why your comment matters. That's why your like is more than one click. It activates this video in the algorithm, but also in the vibrational field of other people who need to hear this message. And if this energy has resonated on you, if you felt chills, goosebumps, or an old memory that doesn't know where it comes from, subscribe now on the channel. You are not here coincidentally. You are in an awakening portal, and the next videos will reveal the spiritual mission of the chosen one by one. Leo's journey is just the beginning. Each revelation will bring pieces that explain your story, your strength, your challenges, and why everything you have lived so far needed to happen. So enjoy, comment, subscribe, and prepare. Because now, let's get into the deepest part of Leo's spiritual secret. Have you ever felt that you were born with something so strong inside you that the people around you simply were not prepared to deal with it? As if your energy, your presence, your brightness bother you, not because of something wrong with you, but why is there anything rare, powerful, too different? Perhaps this follows you from childhood, that feeling of being too intense, of feeling too much, of wanting too much, of living in a frequency that few understand. If you identify with this, perhaps the explanation is where no one has ever sought, in the hidden spirit of your sign. And if you are from Leo, or live with someone who is, you may have noticed it more than once. Leo does not enter a place. Leo fills the place, not only by physical presence, but for something invisible, a vibrational field of natural command, a living flame that burns inside and no word explains. But what almost no one knows is that this magnetism is not just temperament, it is pure spirituality. Leo was marked with a specific type of solar energy that has nothing to do with pop astrology. We are talking about vibrational heritage, of energy mission, of hidden celestial codes. Edgar Cayce, one of the greatest spiritual prophets of the last century, said that certain signs are not only here to live an ordinary life, but to carry up the responsibility of opening spiritual paths to others. Leo is among these signs, but with one detail. Your strength is not just an advisor, it is activating. Where lion arrives, the masks fall, the truths appear, emotions come on. This is why many fear him, avoid or envy, not because he is superior, but because he reveals what is hidden in others. Leo, contrary to what many people think, need not prove their strength. He is the strength. But what few see is the weight that this force carries. It is not easy to live with a constant internal glow when the world teaches you to erase. Many Leonines grow up listening that they are egocentric, basers, too intense. But the truth is that the world tries to reduce what it cannot control, and Leo is, for essence, uncontrollable, because it carries in your soul a divine spark that challenges any system. And here is an important point. This spiritual energy that Lion carries is feared not only by ordinary people, but by spiritual forces that operate in the invisible. Cayce stated that there are dark forces that constantly seek to turn off the light of those sent to Earth to fulfill collective awakening missions. Leo, for carrying a direct solar signature, is like a torch that walks in the dark, and therefore attracts both admiration and attack. The brightness that illuminates also denounces, and what denounces inevitably bothers. Now stop and think. How many times have you felt that something or someone tried to diminish you? How many times have you had to lower your head so as not to be called arrogant? How many times have you held your ideas, your vision, your urge to lead for fear of being rejected, judged, or excluded? This is no chance. This is spiritual resistance. You are here to activate and not to hide. And your sign, the archetype you carry, is the key to this awakening. But understand, this fire that burns within you is not ego. It is called. And every spiritual call begins with trials. Leo needs to learn from an early age to find his center in the midst of chaos, to be sovereign even when it is alone, trusting your intuition even when everything around says he is wrong, because those who were chosen to carry a light cannot depend on the validation of those who live in the shadows. This is painful, yes. It is lonely, many times, but it is sacred, and maybe that's why you're here now, because this video is not just content about astrology. It is a spiritual mirror, a vibrational message that came to you at the right time, and if it has arrived, it is because your inner fire is asking to be remembered, to be activated. And the most amazing thing is that even when you tried to go out, this flame never gone. She only collected herself, waiting for the moment to emerge more strongly, more consciously, with more true. Leo is ruled by the sun, but not just the sun that shines in the sky, the spiritual sun, the vital energy source of the universe. This is why this sign naturally attracts leadership, creativity, expression, art, life. But all this is not vanity. It is mission. And this mission, when not understood, can become a burden. When Leo doubts himself, he loses more than confidence. He loses his connection with his own essence. And without this connection, the world loses its light. So now that you are here, I want to invite you to do something simple but powerful. If you felt that this video really spoke to you, if you saw yourself in words, if something vibrated on your chest, or if you came to memories you don't even know where they came from, comment down here. I carry this strength. Write this with the intention of those who recognize their own soul. And if you feel you carry this glow, even if the world doesn't recognize it yet, write, "My light bothers you because it wakes up." Don't forget to leave your like. It is more than a way to support this channel. It is a way to activate this message in the collective field. When you like it, the algorithm understands that this message is important, and it comes to other people who also need to remember what they are. And if you are not subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe now, because this series will reveal spiritual secrets that have been hidden by generations. Lions is just the first, and what comes next can finally explain why your pain, your intensity, and your way have never been normal. Now, if at some point in this video you felt something inside you wake up, if the words played a pain that you might not even know you carried, then I want to make you a very special invitation. I want to invite you to download your digital book, The 7 Hidden Spiritual Wounds of Your Zodiac Sign and How to Cure Them Before 2026. This book reveals what traditional astrology never had the courage to show, that each sign carries invisible wounds, emotional, energetic, spiritual marks that shape your fate, your relationships, your failures. Explain, but you feel. How if you were being called for a long time, inside? If this is your case, do not ignore this call. The link to download the book is in the first comment fixed. But attention, access is limited. This content will be removed from the air soon. If you are here, now, it is because this may be the time to understand your pain and start your release. Click on the first fixed comment and start. And if I told you that nothing you did, you live coincidence? What every criticism, every rejection, every moment they tried to erase you, was it part of a spiritual test? Not to destroy you, but to shape something inside you. Because when the soul carries a rare light, the universe needs to cut it with experiences that only the chosen ones support. And Leo, contrary to what many think, did not come into the world to be flattered, came to be proved. This is not vanity, it is spiritual resistance. To carry, day after day, the responsibility of being a source. To be hot, to be courage. Even when everything around you seems cold, this journey that lion travels is lonely because few understand what it is to live with this kind of vibrational intensity. What's more, few are prepared to deal with the presence of those who carry natural authority in the soul. Because Leo doesn't have to send, lion is obeyed. Not by force, but by presence, by magnetism, for that kind of energy that is not explained, only feels. And when this happens, the masks fall, the structures collapse, people reveal themselves. This is spiritual, this is a lion, and maybe that's why you have felt so much pressure in life, so much requirement, so much need to always be the pillar, the center, which holds everything. Because, in an invisible plan, you carry a signature that others feel, even without knowing where it comes from. Edgar Cayce said that the Leonines are living portals of solar energy. They are central of spiritual vitality. When they are well, inspire, create, move crowds. But when they are disconnected from their essence, they become easy prey to doubt, comparison, and self-sabotage. Because the lion's force is not physical, it is vibrational, it is energetic, it is ancestral. Only this strength, when denied, begins to turn against you. The same energy that was born to shine turns into a shadow, in injured pride, in impulses that, without spiritual direction, hurt more than they heal. And that's why Leo must constantly remember who he is, where it came from, why carries this intensity, because this spiritual memory is what sustains its light in the dark days. And every Leonino sooner or later will need to cross the doubt, pain, and reconstruction, because this is how the fire purifies itself. Can you realize now why nothing has ever been simple in your life? Why even when everything seemed right, did you still feel that something bigger called you? It is the call of fire. Not the fire of anger, impulse, in a hurry, but the fire of the soul, the one who burns without consuming, that warms without burning, that guides without forcing. And this fire, when recognized, transforms, cure, illuminates, and not just you, but all around you. This is why lion people have so much impact on others, even unintentionally. Have you noticed? When a leonine goes into crisis, it seems that the whole environment is disorganized. When it is connected, everything around you blooms. This is no coincidence. It is spiritual gift. Leo carries the gift of vibrational regency. Therefore, it becomes dangerous when not aware of its mission, because the same voice that can inspire a crowd can also hurt deeply. The same energy that attracts healing can generate chaos if it is poorly directed. And that's why the Leonino path is often more demanding, more intense, deeper, because it carries more, viber more, and everything that vibrates the most feels more. But look, I know there are people who will hear all this and think, but I'm Leo and I don't feel like that. And it's okay, because the spiritual awakening of a sign does not happen at birth. It happens in recognition. There are Leonines that are still erased, that were injured so many times that they erased their own flame to fit in small spaces, who got used to the pain of not being seen, who spent so much time trying to please, who forgot who they are. But if you're here listening to it now, it's because it's time to remember. The time has come to rescue what never ceased to be yours. And even if no one has ever told you that before, I'll tell you now. You were chosen by fire. This phrase is not just symbolic. She is vibrational. When you say that, when you recognize this, you start to reactivate old codes that were dormant. Codes of leadership, courage, clarity, spiritual protection. Because the lion's brightness is not a choice, it is a call. And who resists this glow suffers. Because when the sun hides, life loses color. Therefore, Leo needs to learn to shine even when it is easier to hide, speaking even when it is more comfortable to silence, to lead even when you are afraid, because that's what the chosen ones do. And now I want you to pay attention. This journey that we are building here together in this video is not an ordinary script. It is a spiritual mirror. Each word that came to you arrived for a reason, and every phrase that resonated inside resonated because found echo. You already knew it all. I just needed to remember. And I know that many who are watching so far won't comment. They will watch in silence. They will keep in the heart. And that's fine. But if you felt that this message was made for you, you felt that Lion is not just a sign, but a call, then manifest that now. Comment here, I am chosen by fire. Write in the comments as a recognition ritual, as a spiritual seal that you publicly activate. Let's see how many here they will have the courage to recognize their own power, because this journey is just beginning. And in the next step, let's reveal why Leo's spiritual energy not only transforms, but also scares the invisible world. Don't waste more time living with this burden. Guarantee now your digital book, The 7 Hidden Spiritual Wounds of Your Zodiac Sign, and how to heal them before 2026, and find out how to apply these powerful teachings in your daily life. Attention! The stock is limited and is running out quickly. Click now and start your journey towards the trust you deserve. Leo's roar is actually a prophetic call, and this is neither metaphor nor exaggeration. It is a forgotten spiritual truth, hidden in symbols, silenced by the structures that have always feared the awakening. Leo is more than presence, more than charisma, more than strong personality. Lion is code. It is channel. It is a living connection with a spiritual source that throbs well above rational understanding. Edgar Cayce, the medium known as the Sleeping Prophet, stated that each sign carries in itself a specific vibration of divine origin, but that some signs were sealed with something more, a sacred magnetism reserved for spiritual leaders. Leo is one of those. According to Cayce, Leo has a mission that goes beyond the borders of what is visible. Its energy is directly linked to the spiritual sun, the luminous center of the hidden universe, the sun that burns not on the skin, but in the soul. This sun not only illuminates, he activates, awakens, reveals. And those who are born under this vibration do not come into the world to hide, come to fire consciousness, even if it costs their own peace. Therefore, many Leonines at some point in their lives experience the conflict between the desire to adapt and the uncontrollable impulse to lead, because no matter how shut up, your inner voice will continue to roar, not as a cry of ego, but as a call that cannot be ignored. There is something ancestral in the presence of who is Leo, something that is not learned, recognized, as if when looking into the eyes of an awake Leonine, it was possible to remember something that the soul always knew, that this person came into the world to represent something greater. And it's not because you want, it is because it was marked. There is a spiritual signature in the Leonines that vibrate in its essence, something that bothers the sleeping but inspires the ready. Leo arouses memories in other people, memories of courage, what is authenticity, what is raw light, without filter, and that often scares, not because it's aggressive, but because it's too true. This magnetism that Lion carries is not just charm, it is spiritual influence. It is as if your aura emitted an energy field that moves the surrounding vibration. Edgar Cayce said that the Leonines have a natural gift of reorganizing internal and external structures. Where Leo arrives, everything adjusts, reconfigures, reveals itself. And if it does not reveal, it goes into crisis, because the presence of Lion does not allow disguises. It is like a beam of light entering a dark room. What was hidden becomes evident. This explains why the Leonino is often misunderstood, rejected, or even sabotaged, because its existence itself is an uncomfortable reminder for those who are not yet ready to face their own truth. But this same presence, when conscious, has an almost miraculous effect. Lion empower, healing, inspires. Your energy can lift someone from the bottom of the well with a word. It can change the climate of an environment with a gesture. It can return hope to those who had already given up on you. But you see, this only happens when the Leonino is aligned with his spiritual mission. When it is disconnected, this power turns against him. The brightness becomes charge, leadership becomes isolation, magnetism becomes burden, and it is at this point that many Leonines get lost. Because by not understanding the spiritual origin of what they feel, they come to see their intensity as a defect, and they try to fit where they were never made to fit. This is why the memory of this call is so urgent, because each time a Leonine silences, the world loses a source. And I don't speak here of applause or compliments. I speak of light. Leo is one of the few archetypes capable of radiating true courage in others. Not that performative courage, but the courage that is born of authenticity, of the I am what I am, from I don't delete anymore to fit in your world. And this it is, in the end, the greatest spiritual service one can offer to humanity, to be exactly who has come to be. Cayce also said that Leo represents the heart of the Zodiac, and it's no wonder. Everything that emanates from Leo goes first through the feeling, by the emotion, for the passion. Therefore, their decisions are often called impulsive. But what few understand is that this impulsiveness does not come from uncontrolled, but from connection. Leo feels before thinking, acts before rationalizing, not because it is inconsequential, but because your compass is spiritual, not mental. And it is this same compass that, when tuned, leads Leo to his greatest power, the power to lead through the example, not the imposition. And now, maybe you start to realize why your journey has been so intense, why the challenges seem bigger, why your light has always bothered, because you carry something that can't be erased, just forgotten. But now you are remembering. It is reconnecting. It is awakening the memory that was given you before it was even born. And this is not small. This is gigantic. It is sacred. And if you got here feeling it on your chest with the feeling that something has thrown yourself inside you, then maybe it's time to take the next step, to manifest not only for others, but to yourself. Comment now down here. I am the roar of the sun. Write this as a spiritual seal, as a vibrational commitment. Or if you prefer, write, my brightness is a call. Let's see who here carries this living, latent, sacred energy. This series is just beginning, and what we will reveal below can explain why this strength you feel scares not only the world around you, but the invisible that observes us in silence. Don't waste more time living with this burden. Guarantee now your digital book, The 7 Hidden Spiritual Wounds of Your Zodiac Sign, and how to heal them before 2026, and find out how to apply these powerful teachings in your daily life. Attention, the stock is limited and is running out quickly. Click now and start your journey towards the trust you deserve. But this brightness has a price, and a high price which is not always visible in the eyes of those who watch Lion from outside. For behind all intense light, there is a history of silent pain, of internal battles, deep confrontation with the soul itself. Leo, unlike many think, is not born ready. He is born destined. And destination is not present, it is the way. A path that requires courage, resistance, and especially conscience. The true Leonino is forged in the fire of rejection, misunderstanding, constant criticism. From an early age, he hears that it is too much. He speaks too much, wants to feel too much. And behind each veiled accusation of arrogance, there is only a collective fear of those who do not know how to deal with what is grandiose by nature. This is the spiritual paradox that Leo carries. He was born to shine, but he lives being pruned. Because the pure shine scares. He reveals, he illuminates, he does not allow pretense. And in a world where many still live on appearances, Leo's light becomes threat. Therefore, the awakening Leonino's life is not comfortable. It is intense. It is demanding. It is lonely at many times. But it is exactly this pain that prepares him for his true spiritual mission. And this mission is not small. It is to carry light where there is shadow, even when it means walking alone, even when there is no audience, even when no one applauds. It is being a lighthouse in the midst of chaos. It is being a center in the midst of imbalance. It is being true in a sea of masks. And that truth is expensive, because to carry such a mission, Leo must go through phases that few would endure. It needs to be broken, to be rebuilt inside. It needs to be discredited, to learn to believe in itself. It needs to be abandoned, to find within itself the force of not depending on anyone's presence. And this is where the true spirituality of the sign of Leo is revealed. Not in vanity, but in resilience. Not in the pose, but in essence. Not in the crown that everyone see, but in the scars that almost no one knows. And the most curious thing is that even after all this, Leo continues to shine. It is as if, the more they try to turn it off, the more he understands that his light does not depend on the approval of the world. Because this light comes from elsewhere, comes from the spirit, it comes from something much older, much higher. Leo is not just someone who wants to be noticed. He is someone who was born to manifest something, to reveal an archetype, to load a frequency, to support a specific vibration that activates the conscience of others. And this is spiritual mission. It is not a common destination. Therefore, Leo often feels moved, even surrounded by people, because your soul is connected to something larger, and this connection generates a strange longing, a feeling that something is missing, even when everything seems to be in order. It is the longing for the sacred. It is the absence of spiritual recognition that only the invisible plan can offer. And it is in this gap, in this existential void, that many Leonines are lost. They seek love in wrong places. They try to prove value for those who cannot see. They try to convince the world that they deserve to exist, when in fact, their existence is already a miracle in themselves. And this leads us to one of the most difficult but most liberating truths about Leo's spiritual journey. He did not come to please. He came to impact. And impact is not always comfortable. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it's lonely. But it is always transformative. Lion Awake is like a divine spark that rekindles the flame of courage in the hearts around. Your presence can heal without saying a word. It can be inspired only by existing. But for that, it needs to be whole. You need to be connected with your mission. You need to remember that the brightness is not an end in itself, but a medium, a means of fulfilling your call, to sustain your truth, to illuminate where few have the courage to go. And this place where few have the courage to go is usually the interior itself, because the light that Leo carries is, first of all, a light that crosses himself, that reveals the shadows themselves, that requires brutal honesty, that disassembles personal masks before confronting the world. And this process often hurts, because illuminating others is beautiful, but illuminating yourself is challenging. And only those who have already looked in, their own chasms, only those who have faced their own voids can guide others with integrity. Lion is this guide, but only allow yourself to recognize your own pain as part of the mission. So if you feel that you lived too hard, too criticism, too much silences, maybe it's because you didn't come to live like others. Perhaps you are, in fact, a spark of the sun, and so your life has always burned stronger, for good and the challenge. You may have been chosen to carry something that does not fit into words, but pulsate inside your chest like a roar that only you hear. And if so, you're not alone. This series was made for you, and everything that is coming now, it's just the beginning. Comment down here if you felt it vibrate inside you. If you recognize that your pains were not in vain, write in the comments, "The pain prepared me for what I was born to be." Or if you want something more direct, write, "My light comes from my fight." Let's see how many here they walked inside their own darkness, and yet they continue to shine. Because the next revelation will touch exactly at this point. Because the lion's brightness is feared, even on the spiritual plane. If you are a lion, or carries this energy at some remarkable point of your astral chart, it is very likely that experiences that are not just explained with logic have already lived. Moments when something paralyzed you inside, not fear, but of such a strong intuition that it seemed to scream inside your body. Suddenly listening to a sentence, seeing a picture, listening to a song, witnessing a scene that somehow spoke directly to your soul. You know what I'm talking about. It is that moment when everything stops, the air seems denser, time slows down, and you feel deep in your chest that something is communicating with you, but not with words. It is as if the universe itself is watching you, touching you, reminding you, you are still on the way. Continue. And that doesn't happen by chance. Leo receives spiritual signs because he carries a spiritual mission. This needs to be clear. It is not about luck or cheap mysticism. It is about a real ancestral connection between the leonine soul and the subtle plane. Lion is a vibrational driver, a channel that, even without realizing it, is always receiving codes from the invisible. But these codes do not come in the same way for everyone. While some signs receive more symbolic or intuitive messages, Leo receives more visceral spiritual confirmations. It is in the body that he feels. It is in the blood that he perceives. It is in the heart that everything vibrates. Therefore, the signs are so physical. The chills, the vivid dreams, the emotional alerts, the feeling that something is about to happen, and almost always happens. How many times have you dreamed of situations where you were guiding other people, saving someone, protecting, making decisions in the midst of chaos? This is not just dreams. They are spiritual workouts. It is as if, even during sleep, his soul continued to fulfill his role of energy leadership. You are being prepared. And these dreams are a form of silent activation. They are not just there to show you something of the future. They are there to remind you of your purpose, to activate your conscience, to show that even when you feel that you are standing, something in you remains moving. Something in you is still lit. Another sign that Lion often receives is the feeling of being observed. And I don't mean a paranoia or distrust psychological ortho. I'm talking about a subtle but constant feeling that there is something, or someone, watching you, as if there were invisible eyes accompanying you, as if even alone, you knew you are not alone. This spiritual presence can manifest itself at common times, such as during a shower, looking out the window, or when it is silent at night. Leo is stored by solar forces, and these forces sometimes show themselves like a spiritual vigil, a reminder that your light is being protected because it is necessary. And there are also the synchronous meetings, which look casual but are not. Leo attracts people with similar energy. It attracts those who need their light, but also those who come to test it. Sometimes you feel that you are in a repetitive cycle of attracting people who admire you too much at the beginning, and then question you, challenge you, sabotage you. This is not a mistake. This is a reflection of your mission. The lion's brightness illuminates the others, but it also reveals the shadows, and not everyone is ready for it. Therefore, the spiritual signs you receive do not always come in the form of affection. They often come as alerts, as sudden removal, as silent invitations to return to the center. Because when you move away from your essence, the signs become more intense, as if the universe were saying, remember who you are, you can't get lost now. And that is why Leo needs silence. It needs solitude, not for weakness but for wisdom, because it is in silence that the signs gain voice. That's when everything was shut up that the universe inside begins to speak. It is when you stop seeking validation, which begins to listen to your truth. So if you have been ignoring these signs, trying to live a common life, trying to fit your light into small structures, the universe will start shaking you. It will take people. It will close doors. It will push you into yourself, not to punish you, but to bring you back. You are born with a spiritual frequency that vibrates too loud to go unnoticed. And the signs are everywhere, in words that are repeated, in numbers that appear, in feelings that insist, in intuitions that do not leave you alone. The roar that pulsates inside you is more than desire to win. It is called, and when this call is not answered, the signs increase, because the universe never gives up on those who carry a mission. And you, Lion, carry. It doesn't matter if you forgot. It doesn't matter if they tried to convince you otherwise. Your soul knows. And if you got to this point of the video, it was no coincidence. It was by resonance. Something here called you. Something here reminded you. Something here awakened you. If you have already lived any of these signs, the goosebumps, dreams, intuitions, presences, comment here, I am guided by the sun. Write this as a recognition, as a spiritual confirmation, or, if you prefer something even stronger, write, my soul hears the call. And if you want, share your most striking signal. We will form a chain of people who also feel, who also know, who have also been touched by something larger, because what comes next will mess with you at an even deeper level. Why spiritual enemies fear so much the force that Lion carries. But there is a silent risk, a subtle danger that many Leonines face and do not always perceive in time. A risk that does not come from outside, but from within. Because although Leo carries a huge, vibrant, undeniable light, he also lives under the constant threat of forgetting who he is. And when Leo forgets, when he disconnects his own essence, everything loses color. The shine goes out, the roar becomes whisper, and what he once burned down inspires, illuminated. He became just a muffled memory of a power that was one day. This spiritual erasure does not happen at once. He is slow. It slowly settles, like a shadow that approaches without making noise. It all starts when Leo begins to seek out what can only be felt inside, when the need to be recognized takes the place of certainty of being, when external applause begins to replace internal conviction. It is at this point that Leo weakens himself, because its light does not depend on audience. But the ego, when injured, believes it depends, and then the imbalance begins. How many times have you wondered if you were on the right track just because others didn't see you? How many times has it molded, repressed, decreased, trying to please, fit? How many times have you held your roar not to disturb? This is all understandable, because Leo feels intensely the weight of not being understood. But it is in this movement of adaptation that it begins to disconnect from its source. The sun doesn't ask if it can shine, it simply shines. But when Leo forgets that, he begins to negotiate his own light. It begins to doubt its own fire. And this, spiritually speaking, is dangerous. Because Leon asked me with a seal, a spiritual seal of leadership, courage, nobility, and protection. This seal was not given by chance, nor can it be taken, but it can be forgotten. And when forgotten, it loses strength. And without this force, Leo becomes a caricature of himself, still talking loudly, but without conviction. It continues to draw attention, but without presence. It is still seen, but it is not meaningful, because the real lion energy is not what it seems, it is what he vibrates. And when this vibration goes out, it is as if something throughout the spiritual system entered alert, because Leo is an important piece in the collective energy field. It is an anchor of vitality, a point of energy that sustains the self, esteem, identity, and courage of the surrounding people. When a leonine goes out, it's not just he who loses, the surroundings also feels. It all starts to disorganize. Relationships come into crisis, projects stuff, dreams disconnect, because Leo has the spiritual function of maintaining clarity on, and without this clarity everything becomes confusion. And the saddest thing is that the lion himself often does not understand why he is feeling so lost, so empty, so frustrated. It begins to blame others, the world, the life, when in fact what is missing is himself, your light, your confidence, your connection with the inner sun. When Leo tries to be like others, he loses his strength, because your strength is not in being the same, it is in being unique. It is in what it came to be, even if it bothers you, even if it scares, even if it makes you a target. And then, in this process of oblivion, the signs of spiritual alert begin to emerge. Constant nightmares, feeling of tiredness even after resting, irritability, demotivation, fear of exposing yourself, chronic insecurity, need to please all the time. These are symptoms of a lion who has moved away from his own essence, from a lion who tried to live in the dark, believing that it was safer to erase than to continue shining. But it never works, because fire may be muffled, but it cannot be extinguished. He is still there, waiting to be reacted. And what many do not know is that when Leo loses the light, forces of the invisible plan take advantage of it. Because where there is a breach, there is interference. Low vibration spiritual entities feed on doubt, self, sabotage, guilt, and shame. When Leo forgets who he is, he becomes vulnerable. It begins to attract situations that reinforce this disconnection. Manipulative people, toxic relationships, financial losses, constant frustrations. This is not punishment. It is a sign. It is the universe saying, come back, reconnect, remember. Your mission was not canceled just because you moved away from it. And the way back begins when Lion stops hiding, when you speak again, when he expresses what he feels again without fear of being judged, when you look in the mirror with honesty and says, I deleted myself, but my light is still here. This moment of reconnection is deeply spiritual, because it does not only involve the mind, it involves the spirit, the soul, the energy field. And when this reconnection happens, it all starts to go back to the place. Opportunities reappear, the right people approach, the intuition again works, sleep is deep again, and especially the will to live returns. And maybe that's what is happening to you now. Perhaps this video has found you at this very moment of doubt, tiredness, questioning. And if so, don't ignore it, because this can be your call to rekindle what has always been yours. And the simplest way to do this is to recognize yourself again, looking in with compassion, not with charge. You didn't fail to get lost. You only walked away for a while, but the sun is still there, inside you, hoping you say, "I shine again." Comment down here if this part spoke to you. If you have lived this spiritual erasure, if you have already felt that your light has been lost in the midst of pain, write, "I came back to me." Or if you prefer something even more straightforward, say, "My light was asleep but never faded." Let's see who here is ready to rekindle your own sun, because in the next stretch, let's understand why the lower spirituality fears so much when Leo remembers who it is. Don't waste more time living with this burden. Guarantee now your digital book, The 7 Hidden Spiritual Wounds of Your Zodiac Sign and How to Heal Them Before 2026, and find out how to apply these powerful teachings in your daily life. Attention, the stock is limited and is running out quickly. Click now and start your journey towards the trust you deserve. Lion was chosen, but not the way many imagine. It was not chosen to be worshipped, followed, or feared. Leo was chosen to be the one who awakens, which points the way, not with beautiful words, but with a living presence, which vibrates true, even when everything around you is made of a lie. Leo is not a character. Leo is a portal, an open channel between the divine and the terrain, and that is why its existence, by itself, already transforms everything it touches. Its brightness is not vanity. Its brightness is code. It is energy information. It is a frequency that resonates in others and forces them to remember who they are too. Have you ever noticed how some people just can't stand being close to someone who is whole? What is true? That does not pretend. That does not fit. That does not ask for permission to be. This is because the light of Lion reveals the darkness in others, and not everyone is ready to see each other honesty. Therefore, so many people project your own shadows in you. They say you are too much, that you are intense, that you speak loudly, that you want to appear. But what they don't know is that all this is not about you. It's about what you arouse in them. Leo is a mirror that does not lie, and facing a mirror like that hurts. It hurts who hides. It hurts to get lost. It hurts those who live trying to pretend it's okay when it's not. And yet, you continue. Even without understanding everything, even wounded, even tired, you continue. And this is not common force. This is spiritual resistance. This is unnamed faith. It is the strength of those who have been overthrown many times but refuses to stay on the floor. And that's exactly why you were chosen. Because only those who feel the pain of disconnection can value the light of reconnection. Only those who have erased understand the miracle of shining again. And when you shine again, you don't just shine for you. You shine for everyone who see you, for all who are in the dark, and when they see their light, they remember that they also have their own. This is the true spiritual role of Leo. It is not mastering, it is awakening. It is to remember the sleeping ones that there is more, that there is soul, that there is meaning, that there is mission. And that's why even in your worst days, even when everything seems lost, there is something about you that refuses to erase. This something is the fire you carry, and this fire is more than a symbol. He is a seal, an energy brand that cannot be erased, just ignored. But once recognized, it rekindles everything. Perhaps throughout this video you have felt things you can't explain. Goosebumps, chills, unexpected tears, strange sensations, memories that emerged for no reason. Perhaps at some point, it makes sense as if someone is talking to his soul, not just his ears. This is your spiritual field responding to the truth, because the spirit recognizes the truth, even when the mind still has doubts. And if this happened to you here now, then this video was not just content. He was a reunion with its essence, with what you have always been. But perhaps you have forgotten because of the pain, the rush, the need to survive. Leo does not survive. Lion lives. Lion expands. Lion warms up. Lion illuminates. But you can only do that when you come back to you, when stopping validation outside, when you stop comparing yourself, when you understand that your brilliance was never in dispute. because there is no competition when it comes to unique light. You have not been called to be like the others. You have been called to be what no one else can be. You. And now, I want to invite you to seal it, because this is not just a message, it is an energy process. When you comment, when you write, you anchor this vibration in your field. You manifest in the physical what has already been activated in the spiritual. So if you felt that this video spoke to your soul, it's because it said, you carry this fire, you always loaded. Comment now on, I accept my light. Write this with conscience, firmly, as who knows what you are doing. Or if you prefer something even more straightforward, write, I carry the lion fire. This is not just a comment, it is a spiritual confirmation. It's a pact with yourself. It is a reminder that you are registered in time. And if this vibration made sense to you, if you felt you needed to hear it all, enjoy this video now, short with intention. Because when you interact with this energy, you strengthen the field. And when it strengthens the field, this message reaches more people. People who, like you, may be about to go out, but only need a breath, a push, a reminder. And if you are not already subscribed here on the channel, subscribe now. Activate the bell, because our next revelation will mess with a completely different energy. In the next video, you will understand why Virgin is the most enigmatic sign spiritually. A silent but extremely sensitive sign. Discreet, but loaded with codes that he does not even understand. We see each other there. And remember, your light is not excess. She is a mission. And who is born to illuminate, never born to hide. If you stayed here until the end of this video, it already tells me one thing. You are not here by chance. Something inside you recognized this message. And if she touched her heart, her soul, her spiritual memory, then it's time to take an extra step on this journey. Subscribe now to the channel. This is not just pressing a button. You accept to continue receiving content that speak directly with what is awake there. Here, each video is a portal, a key, a revelation, and your spiritual journey deserves continuity. If you got here, comments now. I arrived until the end because this message was for me. Or if you want to make something more powerful, write, my light recognizes this call. These comments are not just engagement, they are energy seal. They tell the universe that you are present, conscious, and committed to your essence. Oh, and leave your like now too, because if you felt this vibration until the end, this connection, it strengthens this chain of awakening, and it helps this content to reach more people who also need to remember who they are. And before you leave, look here on the left side of your screen. The next video is already waiting for you. It is the continuation of this spiritual dive. Click now and follow me on this journey, because what you will find out there can completely change the way you see your mission in this world. We see each other there.